Hi Libras, welcome to your February 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us. That's normally a 10 card spread, but you guys got some extra cards that came out. And then we have two Oracle cards we'll read at the end and also a mudra card, so there's a lot to get to. So we'll start with the main situation first. And in that position, you guys got a few cards that came up. So we have the Justice card. That's actually the Major Arcana card for your sign, Libra. Three of Swords. This is actually also a Libra card. It represents the middle 10 degrees of Libra. So, whether it's your sun, your moon, or your rising sign in those degrees, this might be resonating with you a bit more. And then we have the Four of Wands, which is actually a Aries card, the last 10 degrees of Aries. So the way that I see these cards playing out, given the order that they came out in, is this could just be saying that you experienced a heartbreak, but that actually heals itself at some point during this month. So, whether we want to look at the Justice card strictly as pointing to you, since this is the Major Arcana card representing your sign, or just talking about justice in general, meaning that, okay, if you were done wrong in some way, this is the month where that issue gets rectified in your favor and balance gets restored. People normally look at the, probably most likely because of the heart on the actual card, but people usually look at this as a relationship being broken up. I don't always normally see it that way, but with the Four of Wands as the other card, that definitely does seem like there's a pretty good possibility that it's what it could be pointing to. Right now, you guys have Mars moving through your 7th house, so you guys naturally rule the 7th house for starters, so that has significance there. And then for everyone, their 7th house represents their house of relationships. So what can happen with Mars going through that sign is one way it could play out on the more negative front is it can bring conflict. But on the positive side, it could also repair things as well. So it looks like you guys might end up experiencing both ends of that. And what comes to mind for me is the fact that right now I'm recording this on the 18th of January. And, there's an eclipse coming up in a couple days, and it'll actually have around the same time that that's going on. Uranus is going to be squaring the sun in Capricorn. So, that could be some tricky energy for you because Uranus is in your opposite sign, and then Capricorn naturally squares you as well. So that could be a lot of friction there. And then we'll also have Mars squaring Saturn around that same time, about a day or so after the eclipse takes place. So that could be when these energies play out, especially this energy here. It could be some kind of conflict that arises around the time of that eclipse. And, as the month progresses, as we move into February, through the month of February, that might be when you actually get to have the balance restored in the situation. Right when February starts as well, Mars will be squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So these are pretty tense aspects. And like I said, with that all going on with Mars in your 7th house, it could definitely be pointing to relationship problems in that regard. The Challenger obstacle position is the Strength card. So this is the Major Arcana card for Leo. So for some of you, could be with a Leo, and that could be who this issue happens with. Again, that eclipse that's going to be happening in a couple days from now when I'm recording this, that's actually going to be in Leo as well. So like I said, it could just be pointing again to all of the energies taking place around that eclipse. That could be what causes that conflict to begin with. And then, that would be the challenge to restore the balance after such a conflict takes place, right? Leo is also your house of friendships as well, though. So maybe for some of you, someone does you wrong and causes you some heartbreak. then they want to mend fences with you, and then maybe your friends are, objecting to that. Like, really, do you see what they did to you? You sure you want to get back with them, right? That's one way it could play out as well. um, but this could just be saying for you, mustering up the strength to restore the balance, to move past the heartbreak and to get things back on track. That could be a challenge for you this month. In the foundation position, we have the Eight of Wands. So this points to a lot of communication, possibly short distance travel, and just taking action in general. So again, if this is referring to the same situation, that could just be saying that there's a lot of back and forth. Like I said, it could have been a blow up that happened around the time of the eclipse in Leo. And then, like I said, because of all the energy going on in your seventh house and your fourth house, that could even point to, if you're married, for example, someone that lives with you, or even just a serious relationship you're in where the person might even live with you, because it could play out in the home where you have the seventh house. That would be the relationship partner. Fourth house could be the home. So, there could be conflict in that regard. Um, the good thing is, basically, as we move through the month of February, we're going to have Venus moving through Capricorn. So it's going to hit those same planets that Mars had to square with. So that might be what helps you guys move things over as the month of February plays out. And then, you guys will have Aquarius in your fifth house too. So maybe that's what this is pointing to as well. Leo is the natural ruler of the fifth house. So with the sun moving into your fifth house, maybe that gives you that energy, that strength that you need to actually put things back on track. In the past position, we have the Eight of Swords. So this just shows that you were feeling stuck in some kind of way. Not sure if you were seeing things clearly, or maybe there are certain things that you didn't want to see, right? What we always say with the Eight of Swords is it looks like the person could easily get out, right? It doesn't look like, it looks like almost like toilet paper that they're tied up with, right? They could break free from that, pull the blindfold off, and walk right out. So, it could just be saying that there's something that you didn't want to see, perhaps, that's been in front of you all along. Or just you were kept in the dark in some way. Maybe, not blatantly held in the dark, right? But maybe because you trusted the person, whatever they told you, you went along with it, right? So maybe that's why it doesn't show a straight up image of someone being held in bondage, right? It's just like, oh, okay, you choose to believe what they say, right? And then maybe something happens to shatter that image, because in the present position, we have the Tower. So, this could be a sudden abrupt issue. Like I said, to me, this really looks like it's pointing to, so especially with this in the present position, meaning that this would basically be when February starts, this would be the energy at play. But given that I'm recording this, like I said, on the 18th of January, and I'll be posting it soon, this could just be pointing again to that eclipse. Like I said, right around the energy of that eclipse, there's some conflict energy at play. Maybe there's a blow up between the two of you, and then maybe that's where you end up having to reassess things. It could seem a lot worse than it is in the moment. I'm not saying that it can't be repaired. The way I usually describe the Tower is like a divine intervention. If we look at that lightning bolt, if you think about it, that shouldn't do that kind of damage to a tower, right? Just a lightning bolt striking it, you wouldn't think that it would cause the chaos that we're seeing in this picture here. So, to me, it usually just goes to show that things, that don't have as sturdy of a foundation as you thought they did. So it helps you look at things in a more realistic light in that regard. And like I said, with Saturn in your fourth house, Pluto in your fourth house, they could be forcing you to look at those things too. And then Mars moving into your seventh house could just really be bringing it out into the forefront in a more abrupt manner. So that could be what they're saying there. In the near future position, 3 cards. You had the Nine of Swords, the Judgment card, and the Two of Wands. So what I was seeing when I was looking at this is actually a Gemini card, and so is that actually. So you could definitely be dealing with a Gemini. Um, but the way that I was seeing this is, naturally anyone, if you go through that tower situation, like I said, maybe it was just an abrupt fight that came out of nowhere. You didn't see it coming, right? Usually the tower moment you don't see coming. Maybe you look back at it in hindsight and say, I should have seen it coming, right? Maybe that's what the Eight of Swords is saying in the past. Like, okay, this was something that I knew was bubbling under the surface, but I tried to avoid it, right? And then it came out. And that's, again, with that eclipse energy and all of those squares that I already mentioned, that could be what brings it out. And if that's the case, that means that it needed to come out anyway. So there's that. Might not make you feel any better about it in the moment, but like I tell people, you can't cheat the system, basically. So if these are the aspects at play, if you don't handle it in a healthy manner beforehand, then the universe tends to take the wheel, and it could be a little bit more abrupt than we'd like. But once it's done, it's done. And the Judgment card to me points to being able to bring something back to life, right? So you might have felt that, oh, this is all over, right? You thought, oh, there's no way that we could come back from this. The Judgment card says that you can, though, so there's that. And like I said, this is being in your mind as well, so keep that in mind. So yes, it's not a good feeling to have at all, and when you're in it, you can't necessarily control it. But keep in mind that a major arcana is obviously, well, they're called trump cards, so this is a more powerful card than that Nine of Swords. So this is saying if you do want to bring it back around, you do have that opportunity. And then the Two of Wands here, this is like a fresh start, essentially. It's actually represents the first 10 degrees of Aries. So Mars is already out of those degrees, but toward the end of the month, actually, Chiron will be moving into those degrees in Aries. So Chiron moving into your 7th could help you heal any of these situations as well. So that's something to keep in mind there. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the King of Cups. So this is actually the court card for Scorpio. So, naturally for some of you, if especially like let's say you're a Libra sun, it wouldn't be a surprise if your Mercury or maybe your Venus are in Scorpio. So, maybe that's just pointing to the energy that you're letting lead the way at this point. So, you guys would know your chart better than me, obviously. This is a general reading. So, that might resonate for you guys more if you have placements in Scorpio as well as Libra. That could be saying that, all right, you're taking on more of the Scorpio type energy in this case. This could just be saying that you're feeling emotions deeply. I mean, that certainly seems to be the case with the Nine of Swords energy there. And, maybe it's just saying that you're getting in touch with those emotions, really thinking things over and trying to decide what you want to do. In the position of the environment, its influence on a situation, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So, this could just be saying that, let's say, if this is a relationship, it definitely seems to have that vibe. This could just be saying that this is the other person coming to put in the work, right? Okay, the damage was done. You guys went through what you went through. And now they're coming back around to possibly try to repair that situation with you. This is also just the environment as well, though, so it doesn't always point to a person. It could just point to the energies at play. And towards the end of February, you're actually going to have the sun move into Pisces, which is your 6th house. And the 6th house is usually seen as a house of work. This is actually a Virgo card, and Virgo is the natural ruler of the 6th house. So that could just be saying because of all this, you just decide to focus on work. It's a common thing when people go through a breakup, right? They try to focus on other areas of life to keep their mind off of it. And if this is the mind state you're in, then it's not too surprising that you'd want to do anything to keep from thinking that way, right? Like I said, with the Judgment card there, and the Two of Wands. It definitely looks like you guys can kind of hit the reset button if you wanted to. You have the Fool at the bottom of the deck too, which also shows that you might want to start over in some way, shape, or form. If not with the same person, maybe with someone new, to be quite honest. I mean, that new moon is going to be in Aquarius, which is your fifth house, so that could also be what it's saying. Maybe this Tower moment is the end with that particular person, and then you have that Three of Swords heartbreak, but then seemingly just as fast, a new connection comes along to, help restore balance in that regard. So, it might be for fewer of you because, I mean, you probably wouldn't want to jump right into another relationship if that's the type of dynamic you were going through. So, for most of you, I think, like I said, with the Venus energy, touching those same placements in Capricorn that Mars was squaring, that could help you repair whatever damage may have been done. But yeah, this shows that whatever the case, if it is another person, it looks like they're willing to put in the work. And if it's you, maybe saying, all right, well, I don't want to revisit this just yet. Maybe you're just throwing more of your energy into your career. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the King of Wands, the Hermit, and the Page of Cups. So this is interesting because I mentioned the Strength card before, saying that could have been Leo energy, so maybe this was all playing out with a Leo that you're with. And here we have the first 10 degrees of Virgo. So similar to what I was saying for you, maybe if your sun's in Libra, but you have your Venus or your Mercury in Scorpio, maybe same thing for this person. They might be a Leo sun, but they might have their Mercury or their Venus in the first 10 degrees of Virgo, let's say. So maybe that's who this is pointing to specifically. So maybe that'll resonate for some of you. So maybe that's saying that you're hoping for this person to come around. So you're just in this energy, because this is actually a court card for Leo. So that's the major arcana for Leo. This is the court card. So you're, waiting around, hoping for them to come back around and make a love offer to you. And again, going back to the fact that if they're a Leo but they have Virgo placements, this is the major arcana card for Virgo as well. So, and again, this is just hope still. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play out. But this could just be saying that that's what you're hoping for. Or again, if this is you that should be taking on that Leo energy, then maybe you're hoping to come out of, or maybe you're just trying to think over, okay, when's the right time for me to make this offer, right? And then in the outcome position, we have the Four of Swords. So this is another Libra card, actually. This is the last 10 degrees of Libra. And the way I look at this, it's the card after the Three of Swords. So the way I look at it is almost like those are the three swords that were in the heart. So it's like the person pulls them out and takes the time to heal. So to me, this is a good outcome card in that regard. It's not the most exciting card or anything, but for it to come after that Three of Swords, after the Tower, after the Nine of Swords, all of these cards, for it to end at this point, shows me that you will be healing in some way, shape, or form. So whether that's, like I said, it is truly over with that person, but you just, make peace with it. Maybe, like I said, you might be kicking yourself saying, oh, I should have seen it coming all along, right? Maybe that's what the Nine of Swords energy is there. Or if you guys truly repair it, like I said, if it's repairing, the astrology aspects do support that. Like I said, there definitely be those bumps with the Mars energy, but then the Venus energy will come back in after that and smooth things over a bit. So that could be what that's pointing to there. You're finally able to let that anxiety go. The other person's working with you. You guys get things back on track. That's probably the most probable outcome that I see going there. But we'll see what the Oracle cards add to the mix too. Alright, so the first Oracle card you guys got was Blessed. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 22, if that has any significance for you. We'll look at what the messages are for that. Okay, it says essential meanings. Something wonderful that is unearned and unexpected. Grace that is an unforeseen gift from Spirit. The Oracle's message. There are moments in life when, out of the blue, it seems that everything has been orchestrated by divine intervention. You feel blessed in ways that are difficult to express. It's as if the Red Sea parts in front of you and events come together to banish your troubles easily and naturally. You know deep down you did not deserve any of it, and yet here you are. This is one of those times. Let awe and gratitude for all your blessings guide you now. So, I almost laughed to myself when I read the part that said divine intervention, because that's what I described that lightning bolt as in the tower card. And, you know, most people probably say, oh, that doesn't look like the kind of divine intervention I like. It looks a little rough, but maybe for some of you, like I said, especially if that fits your feelings, like I said, if that was you feeling like, oh, I should have seen this coming all along, if something comes out about the person, but you were trying not to see it, you didn't want to believe that they were a certain way, but then this thing comes out, you might be like, oh, I can't believe I let that happen, one of those things, but then maybe you quickly bounce back. Like we said, the Three of Swords followed by that Four of Wands energy. Maybe you quickly bounce back and say, you know what? This was for the best. I'm ready for a fresh start with the Fool at the bottom of the deck, right? So that could be what that's pointing to there. The relationship message says you are moving towards a deepening of intimacy in a unique and sacred partnership. You know you are meant to make this connection. This union, blessed by the divine, will bring transformation and beauty to the world. This is also a sign that, even more important, you're being called to a deeper intimacy with yourself and spirit. With this new development, you will see evidence of grace in your life. So that could be what that Scorpio energy is there that I was talking about as well. Maybe just getting more in touch with yourself from this experience. Maybe taking that time, while you're taking that time to heal, you get more in touch with yourself in that regard. But like I said, maybe that's, again, going back to maybe this needed to happen for those of you who it doesn't mean the relationship's over for good. Like I said, maybe it's just something that you both needed to go through and now rebuild on a more realistic way. So that could be what that's pointing to there as well. All right, and there wasn't much of a finance vibe there. Like I said, I don't always see Three of Swords automatically as a relationship, but with the Four of Wands, it seemed to lean that way. But I mean, we do have Pentacles there, so we'll see if this resonates. It says, unexpected windfalls and good fortune come your way now. You're in a phase where any difficulties or obstacles that have stymied your success seem to disappear on their own. Be ready to receive. The windows of opportunity will open wide. Accept the blessings given to you now and don't forget to share them. All right, well, I mean, that's certainly, with that Fool energy at the bottom of the deck, that's a possibility. The Strength card there, I mean, I didn't really see something like that, as far as in the main tarot spread that would point to some kind of windfalls. But, I mean, with the Judgment card, the Two of Wands, it is certainly possible for something to seemingly come back from the dead. And maybe that's what that Eight of Pentacles is about. Maybe for some of you, this was a job loss, right? And then maybe almost just as quickly as you lose the job, something new comes along and you end up liking it more. That's certainly a possibility. We'll see what the next Oracle card has to say. So, you got Chameleon Spirit. This is from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. And the caption there says, act as if. There's the artwork for it. And it's number 14, if that resonates with you in any way. I'll read that message now. Okay, it says, Chameleon Spirit shares her gift with you today to prepare you for changes that will greatly benefit you. Outer conditions are changing and you're required to come into harmony with them so you can co-create your greatest dream. Feeling sensitive? Good. because that will come in handy, enabling you to determine how best to adapt to your environment and the people in it, while at the same time maintaining your integrity and inner equilibrium. Even if you feel like you're in uncharted territory, Chameleon Spirit has complete faith in your ability to fit in and learn the lay of the land, adapting as necessary. This is a fortunate time to act as if and do as others do until the new ways feel familiar and completely natural. Life is offering you a greater lesson now. Adapting isn't about losing yourself, it's about learning how to dance with others. So maybe that's what that energy is pointing to as well with the King of Cups there. You might say, oh, someone feeling out of their element, right? Since you're an air sign, and then this is that Cups energy. So maybe this is saying you're learning to adapt in that regard. Maybe it's just you and the other person, if this is going back to the relationship too, just weren't on the same page, and maybe going through that conflict helped you guys really reassess, almost being like in that honeymoon period where you think they can do no wrong and everything's great, but then you guys have that first big blow up, and now you have to really, kind of come back to it with a more sobering, realistic look. But definitely doesn't have to mean doom and gloom, just that you guys need to just get back together and discuss things. So that's it for the Oracle cards. And the last thing I have is a mudra card. And you guys got the Hamsi mudra. So this is the actual mudra itself. So basically, this is something I started last month, but for those of you who don't know, a mudra is basically a gesture that you'd make with your hands while you're meditating usually. You could hold it for, usually the minimum you'd want to hold it for is 5 minutes. You could hold it for up to half an hour, 45 minutes. Depends on how comfortable you are meditating in general. But usually, like I said, usually the minimum they'll say to do it for is 5 minutes. And, there's a whole bunch of them, and then basically they will help to remove different blockages and help you focus on certain things. The keyword for this one is illumination. And again, there's the actual pose or gesture that you would make with your hand. And I'll turn around to the back of the card so you guys can, maybe take a screenshot of the written message on it. All right, I'll move it up a little bit so you can get the rest. And it says benefits: removes obstacles in one's life, eases depression and sadness, evokes feelings of lightness and laughter, benefits the lungs and large intestine, improves assimilation of nutrients and elimination of waste. So, these are cards. I just shuffle these for a bit and wait for a random one to come out for each sign. And this one seems to be pretty fitting as far as, it says eases depression and sadness. So, if you guys are going through that Three of Swords energy, that Nine of Swords energy, then maybe this would actually be helpful for you. So what I'll do is I'll actually put the name of this in the description of the video as well, in case you guys want to look it up, maybe do a Google search, or there's probably more info about it on YouTube as well. All right, so that's all I had for this month, guys. If you guys want to book a personal reading with me, you could check out the About section of my channel for more info on that. And you could also follow my Instagram page. We have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology there. But if not, I'll see you guys next month, all right? Bye.